Hey crew, this is the video that's going to demonstrate in further detail replacing that wheel bearing assembly with a hub, the whole hub wheel bearing assembly together that's in behind this front disc rotor on a Prado. A lot of vehicles are going to be very similar, so useful information for anyone, but this is on a Prado 120, which is the same part on a 150. You know, they're the same bearing, they're the same drive shaft, I think, if I remember correctly. Same caliper and pads, basically, more or less. Same front struts, almost. So it's very similar, the front end, not exactly the same. So step one, obviously, basically, we've got the front wheel off. I don't need to demonstrate that, right? The next step is going to be to remove that 10mm there, this bracket. That's an ABS line, and we don't want that to get damaged. And there's also a clip in behind here, so that clip there, that one down there, we're going to open that clip up so that we get that ABS line out of there, so it's not getting yanked on at all whatsoever. And just for good practice, we'll take the ABS sensor out down here. You'll find a 10mm nut or bolt, depending, or there you go, a hex, depending what model vehicle. We're going to take that out and just get that completely out of the way. The next step will be, I already said the 10mm, that was that one. Then we're going to take out this 12mm, right, which is the brake line bracket. And then we're going to come in behind here and take out, I was trying to find it in the camera, where are you? Come on. Because I can't get my head around this head. I'm doing this one here, there it is, that one there, right? 19mm, I think it is, on the back of the caliper, top and bottom, okay? So I've shown you those. That's the limit of, you know, getting in behind there, making things difficult, really. So let's get those steps complete, and we'll take it from there. Right, so we've done those steps, taken the bolts out, undone the clip that I wanted undone, and taking the bolts out of the caliper. What I do is I've got my bit of tie wire. I tie it up on the top there. Right, so that's what I'm going to tie the caliper onto. Now look guys, it's a weekend. I discovered this after a trip. So it's like on the weekend I'm very casual, so if you catch me walking around in my thongs or whatever, well, you know, just pretend you didn't see it, okay? Have a laugh, because that's what's going on. I'm going to try and get this in position here to give you a bit of an idea what's going on. Right, I'll try not to bump it. Take the caliper off, right? See, this is why we can't hang it, right? It's on the brake line pretty strong, but we don't want to bend this line here, right? So the key is, right, just pick it up, grab your bit of tie wire, we call it tie wire, that you're pre-prepared with, just stick it through there and just pull it up nice and tight so it can take the weight. And I'm just going to wrap it around a couple of times so it doesn't come undone or slip down. No big deal, like a couple of little wraps and it's not going anywhere usually, but you know, you never know. Don't poke yourself in the eye with that, right? So that's calipers there out the way. Can you see that? Yeah, look at that, eh? Beautiful. That went pretty well to plan. Then just straighten up that, and then the rotor. That's a bada bing, right? Straight up like that. Right, so see what I mean? It's starting to look pretty straightforward. 4 bolts there. We've got to get this dust cap off. We'll do that next. Have got those tools ready. Do I want to be seen taking this dust cap off? You might bust me here. Let me see. Did I just walk in front of the camera with the bloody Crocs? I hope not. Anyway, we've got the wood chisel, right? The old wood chisel that, you know, like I said, probably from when I was a teenager, some cheap wood chisels. And it isn't dodges, it looks the big hammer, right? The big mallet. Anyway, really slowly, just want to gently, slowly start working on that. We don't want to hit it hard enough that, see how it's already started to pop out already? That's why the wood chisel, tell you what, works bloody fantastic, okay? So, right, the flat side against the hub. I always try different ways, but the flat sides of the hub like that, right? So there's the wood chisel. Bang, right? Flat to the hub, the angle to the cap to get it started. Once you got it started, then swap it around the other way, and literally you can go like, I'm going to put the hammer down now. It's really important not to damage these caps, right? They're about 30 bucks each, and we want them to seal. So, bang, right? Don't use your good wood chisels if you're into, you know, making furniture. You know, this is like use your old chisel, right? And you know, you'll be able to just like that, maybe give it a twist. Maybe that'll work, maybe it won't. And then it gets to a point where you might have to give it a tap again. Look, every vehicle varies, you know, depends, you know. Anyway, you get the gist of it. We don't need to waste too much time on this, do we? I don't want to hit it with the I don't want to hit it with the chisel because we've don't want to, you know what I mean? I don't want to, because sometimes you've got to get on an angle like that and just give it a bit of a tap. But I'm just going to try this. Why is it when I roll on the camera I want to try different things? Put that in there and just give it a twist. 2 hands, right? Bada bing, right? There it is, and you can see, guys, no rust. It's all sealed. Right? I just can't help myself, even though it's rubbish. I've got to get a rag and go like that. But look, there's no corrosion. If you got corrosion in there, that means your cap was leaking and you got a problem straight away. You want to grab some side cutters, straighten out the split pin. This has been replaced before, because as I said, these have been replaced before. I don't know which other videos you've seen, but I've talked about these. There's a shorter version. I'll tell you straight, this is the long version. We've decided to do the passenger side first because it's the problem. Okay, it is the problem, so it's the one we're going to do first, but they're both getting done. While the car's on the hoist, you know, I haven't got time to muck around up, down, left, right another time. Right, straighten the split pin out as much as you can, and then just gently like that is the way to get split pins out, guys. Right, and generally, it might be rubbish. Look, you could probably reuse it. That's up to you to determine. You know, you could flatten that and reuse it. Take that little, I'm going to call that for the video, Duvalaki. Take the Duvalaki off. Right, what now? Well, let's loosen the nut. Did you see me walking in my Crocs before? Or my thongs? If you did, in the comments, tell me. Did you see Crocs or thongs? Right, crack that loose. The big Ryobi gun, if anyone wants to know, the Ryobi gun, bloody beautiful. Now, even though you can't really damage the end of your shaft because it's got a taper there, so you can actually hit that with a hammer. Always got this. Geez, that's a bit tight there actually. Someone's hit that before. Right, so this was a recycled shaft. I've got this thing about, okay, let me just get that gun again, right? I've got this thing about, I'm just going to do it up, right? About bringing the nuts out and giving the nut the tap. Oh, yeah, this has been smacked, right? Can't remember whose car it came in. Some are harder than the others for whatever reason, but not ideal, right? Okay, that's what you get for using a recycled shaft. That should come off just with your fingers, all right? It's not a problem. It's just not ideal. So if someone smacked that hard, because that's rusted in, so obviously this came out of a car that, you know, again, if you park yours in salt water, whatever the case may be, maybe not good, right? Now, if you're just changing this bearing, it's real easy. So we're going to go through that step first, right? Because did you see that? That's how easy it is. Because again, negative, it's been a recycled shaft. Positive, I've cleaned it up and put grease on it. And look, you can just bang, you know, you can just move it like that. Right? See that? Because, why? Because we put grease on it. Then, all right, some tools. What do we need? We need a 17mm. Should probably give you the. I should probably give you the correct sizes as well, because I said 19mm for those caliper bolts. I told you in other videos, I always get it wrong. 19mm, 17mm is a common one that I get wrong. This one's definitely 17, and so is the ones that go into the caliper here. Not 19, they're 17, right? So, this spanner I don't like, I'm going to ditch that. It's not the one that I wanted. that is not the spanner that I wanted. Anyway, ring spanner is the best bet because, and then I grabbed the 19. Hold on, back in a sec. Okay, 17mm ring spanner is your best option because it needs to fit in, right, in there. Now, you might be able to just get it undone, or you might choose to, I don't mind, you can't see this, if you use a hammer, tap on the end of the spanner, that works pretty well, saves your hands. Well, I can't get on that one because the stud's in the way, so I'm going to turn it a little bit. Right. I'll do it around here for you a little bit, right? So, get it on properly first, use this hand to hold it on properly. So this hand's just going to right until it's loose enough, right? We've done those two. Bottom left now. This should be one of those time-lapse things, shouldn't it? Speed it up a bit for you. Again, in the comments, mate. Were you happy to watch me work for once? You know, every now and then. Have a bit of a look-see. Right, so there we go. They're all cracked loose. Unfortunately, it can be hard to get a ratchet spanner in there or whatever, but you know, these are all easy, right? This is how easy this changing this bearing is, guys. It's actually a piece of cake. Now, there is a hard part to it. We're going to get to that, right? So, let's get these bolts out. Now, they're not coming right out because, as I said, they go between the hub and the bearing, right? They've got to be inserted onto that bearing assembly there. Sorry, it's a bit dark. My light ran out of battery. One of those things. And I don't know if I turn the light on. I've got a light on the camera, but I might not have turned it on. But I reckon we can see enough, can't we? There's enough going on. You get the picture. Okay, we just want to get those out. If you can't get them out all the way and it hits the stud, hey, guess what? Just start working it like this. This is how easy it is. See the gap there already, right? You see that? Oh, it's coming out a bit already. Now turn the bolts a bit more. When you buy this kit off me already assembled, the hard work's done. You've got no complications. It's like a dream. Unless you do the right thing and replace that rear seal. And another little tip, don't forget to put that back on. Sorry about the noise. Have I got your attention? Okay, don't forget to put that back on because it's easy enough because you watch what's about to happen, right? How do I know? I've done it more than once, right? And I'll tell you something else I did, only on my car, the bit of tie wire, I left it hanging there. Anyway, found, what's that noise going on there? Got me a bit worried, and then, oh no, the tie wire, you idiot. Anyway, so yeah, I make mistakes too sometimes. That's not on your car, right? So look at this, guys, bang, the whole assembly comes off. It's not meant to come with that. Let's just pretend that stayed there for a minute, right? Pause, rewind, let's put that back. You stay there like that, right? This is your assembly. This is what you're buying off me. Bada bing, already assembled, ready to go, right? There it is. Right? See? You can have a look for how much rust and corrosion. This is the one that's got the play in it. Let me have a feel. Look, it's not too bad, but it's got a bit of play in it. The time to get it is to get it early. Right? There it is. Right? You can see the O-ring, you can see the grease. It's done the job. It's stopped any rust or corrosion getting to this area. When we split the hub, we'll be able to see if the moisture got in there. This is the problem, guys. People are buying crap off eBay. This is the bearing. This is the hub. See that middle seal there? It's not even installed. And see, the rubber goes against the back face of the hub. If you haven't got that seal there, you might say, oh, it's got a seal. It's got that seal, but that ain't a seal. That's not a seal. This is the seal. And you can see we've got the RTV on there. Right, because as explained, I've been doing this for a long time, I believe from what we've seen pulling these bearings down that the moisture may be sneaking under that because that's metal pressed over metal, right, if you know what I mean. So that was my suspicion. But in this case, hasn't made any difference. But you can see for yourself, no leaky here, so no water's got in at that side, right? No water's got in at the back of the bearing around there into the back, otherwise you'd see rust there. So the only place water may have got in, so there's three places, front, back and center, and that's here, right? And that's what we're about to find out when we pull it apart, right? Don't go anywhere yet. So I'm going to put this on the bench because that's heavy. Now I've got a question for you, right? Are we going to be lazy is the question. The question is, are we going to be lazy? Now, take this dust backing plate, right? Take it off, that's what it looks like if anyone wants to know. Right, there it is, right? Bada bing. It can only really go one way, so don't worry too much about that. You can give it a wipe if you want, you know, man, I've got to go and wipe stuff. Anyway, sit that somewhere where you won't forget to put it back on, because if you're unfamiliar with it, like obviously I was when I forgot to put it on once and twice and maybe 3 times, I don't know, lost count. After about 3 times you don't forget things anymore. Right, so we got, I did say we were going to take the ABS sensor out, but we didn't this time. But that's something we normally do. You can give it a bit of a wipe in here if you like, see what's in there. I'm just looking at the grease going, I'm more providing a bit of information for you, right? So around here, that bolt comes out and that whole sensor comes out. I'll probably take it out and give it a clean anyway, because that's how I roll. This shaft will give it a wipe, put a light amount of grease on it again. So, but look, I can't see any traces of water. Gonna need to get another light and shine it in there and have a look. But I can't see any rust, corrosion, whatever the case may be, anywhere, right? Obviously, before we changed the wheel bearings last time, we were able to see, let me bring you down a bit closer, eh? It would be fair, wouldn't it? How's that? Is that better? Time to reposition, right? So, last time we were in there was, you can see this surface rust here I've cleaned up, and you can see that, you know I was talking about, if you watch all the videos, and if you subscribed on both channels, which you probably need to be for if someone's saying both channels, well this is the mechanical channel, and you'll get a little bit of touring information on this, but we've got a touring channel as well, 4x4 Touring Australia, and it may have a tiny bit of mechanical information and whatever, so there's a bit of a crossover there, but you know, we try to keep it separate. But what I said was, in one video or another, this should be nice and smooth and shiny, because somewhere halfway between that edge and that edge, that taper, is where the O-ring sits. Now, if you look around this side, it's quite rough on the outside, right? So we, you know, tried to clean it up best as we could, whatever, without spending too long. But at the top here, the rust goes all the way down to the inside edge. So I go, okay, and it's a bit rough. The O-ring's there, but I don't fully trust the O-ring on its own. So that's why I put a bit of grease, on this backing flat face, because that'll fill in a lot of these machine marks before the water even gets to the O-ring, if you know what I mean. And I can tell you there's no extra, I've used this off-road more than it was ever used beforehand, right? So it's an 08, it's 2020 now. Changed these bearings, what, probably 4 or 5 years ago, I can't remember. It's done a lot more off-road since, and there's been no water in there since, right? What do you reckon that is? Because we've done the prevention, right? Factory setup doesn't allow for that. They don't want it to last forever, I don't think. They've got good quality engineering, like they want it to last forever, right? So that's your ABS sensor there, and there's built into the back of the bearing. So you've got to get the right bearing for the job as well. Now what we supply is, the bearing we supply is for ABS, that way there's no mistakes, because the cost is about the same anyway. We just supply the ABS one, that way it suits all your 120s and 150s. We like to keep it simple, keep it simple, stupid, right? So that thread's all good, except for, you know, obviously it's been hammered at some stage. It really got hammered on the end. That's probably because some water got in on the previous or something, and this was stuck, and you know, it obviously got hammered for one reason or another. I don't remember the story on that one. So are we going to be lazy, right? So that's your drive shaft. It's also a good idea, depending on the Ks your vehicle's done, you can sort of have a feel of that and go, oh yeah, right. But before you go too far, pull this sensor out, because you don't want to break it. So we're going to do that next. The other best option is that extra seal we supply. That's what you're looking at there. That's that seal that goes in the back. It's right there. I'm touching it, right? And there's a spring there. And that seal, that wears. In this case, it hasn't let the bearing down, okay? So if you're not confident to go further to change that seal, no problem. You can just do this. But tell me when you order the bearing, say, hey, I don't need that seal. And, you know, but I'd suggest you take it. At least have it there in case you look and you go, oh no, look at the wear, or look if you've had a leak there, so you can change it. But if you look at it, you've only done 150 and you go, oh yeah, I'm happy, Ant sees these at 250, 300, no problem, and you want to avoid. So this one's even had, see there's surface rust at the bottom, but it's not from this time, it's the last time, I remember it. So what happened last time, guys? That back seal must have been leaking for the moisture to get in the back there. But what we're going to do 100% for sure is change that back seal. So next step of the job is, yeah, waffling a bit, but it's got a bit of information included there. There's a few different options for the way we can move forward from here. You got the 2 bolts at the bottom here I talk about. You can take those off first. That's going to allow this to come out a fair way. You may or may not take the tie rod end off. It's just over here. Okay, pretty easy to pop that off now that you've got all this out the way. The best way, to be quite honest, is to give it a good smack with a hammer on this section here, right up the end. Follow that. Right here, right here. Right, being a bit lazy, like I said, it's a weekend. I'm helping you out here, trying to show you what's going on, you know, unplanned. But, you know, you got to do the video when the job's happening, don't you? Because, to be quite honest, we don't change it a lot of these. We don't see, it's a small percentage, and a lot of people do it as prevention. A lot of DIYs do this job themselves, right? But for what we're going to do, we're going to take out, so what you do, you take out one thing at a time and see how you go. Basically what you need to be able to do is pull this out and maneuver it around so you can get it off the drive shaft without this drive shaft down. Well, it doesn't matter taking it off if you're going to change the seal. The seal needs to get plucked out from behind and get pressed in from behind. You don't have to press it, you can just gently tap it in with a soft hammer or something like that, or you can get, you know, there's some tools you can use, proper tools to install that without damaging it, but it's not a really hard fit, if you know what I mean. So look, this is what we're going to do now. Battery's low, got to go to put it on charge, but while that's happening, we're going to pop this that out. We're going to leave it plugged in. We're not unplugging, we're just taking that, we're taking that out so this doesn't get knocked by anything here before. See, look at this, right? Look, see how close it is, right? See the R&D vehicle. I'm going to risk it for the biscuit, but it's close, all right? We're going to get the sensor out. We're going to take these 2 bottom 19mm out. We're going to see how we go. Then we might take the sway bar off at the top. That's just under this 17mm here. Just take that off, that's all we're doing. And if need be, then we'll take this tie rod end off, and basically then this whole steering knuckle is hanging by the top ball joint here, right? Which is pretty easy to maneuver things around there, right? So we're going to put it on charge and go do that. While you're charging, I'll do that. All right, we're crocking it. We did a bit of a time lapse there for you, just to speed it up. So, as I said, the 2 bottom bolts down the bottom, 90mm, they're out. ABS sensor's out, it's just hanging there. Just look out for it carefully. It can even sit in the hole. I just, you know, you don't have to, I'll lock it out, mate. I don't want it to get knocked, I want it to be able to not get broken, okay? I've taken the top bolt out of the sway bar as well, that's 17mm, and just the end of the sway bar, the link pin if you like. Now what we need to carefully do, and it can be difficult on your own, so we're going to sort of rough it up a bit here, and I'll show you what I mean, right? So we want to sort of, now the sway bar will hit the boot a bit, the genuine boots, it is tough, but just gently and slowly, sort of like you got to take the weight of the drive shaft and hold the steering knuckle, gently pull it out and angle, right, you know, it doesn't matter so much when you're pulling it apart, but you need to angle this drive shaft. It's going to matter more putting it back together, right? And just get that out clean. See, I got it out clean without even touching, right? Like I said, that's going to rub there. Just be careful with it, right? This we're going to clean up and re-grease as well. That's not a separate replaceable seal that matters, if you know what I mean. You can check it, have a play with it like this, go, yep, is that falling apart or anything? That's another one. You might be able to buy it separately. I've never replaced it because I've never found one damaged. They come with on the drive shaft, new drive shaft. So when you're doing a job like this, could be worth changing the drive shaft as well. But the reason we got this off, like I said, there's your seal there that we want to change. Can't see it in the picture. There it is there, right? So we've got to get this out, right? So what's the best way to get that out? I'm a DIY and I'm at home. Okay, sit that there. That's just going to touch on there. That's okay. We'll get this seal first and we'll clean the shaft second. So what are we going to do to get that out? Well, for a start, we need a light so we can see what we're doing, but that damn ARB, orange ARB light that I use, look, it's a bright light, but it only lasts a couple of hours and it takes 8 hours to charge. So, of course, waiting, right? So what do we got to do? We'll grab another light, all right? This one will do. This is how old we had the Ryobi +1 system going. Look at this, blue, mate, back when they were blue, but this one will do. Okay, just to demonstrate for you how best way for you to get that seal out. Okay, well, tell you what we'll do. I reckon we can just push it out. I reckon the metal casing will be just on the inside there. I think I'm looking at that. Okay, let's try. I'm thinking out loud here. I'm thinking maybe let's try the screwdriver to push that out. Alright, I'm still thinking out loud. You know, it doesn't matter smacking out. Look, putting it in though, guys, at the end of the day, if you can get something that fits inside here the same size, something round, you know, let's give you a measurement. They're going, what size? Everyone's saying, what size is it? Tell us what size it is. Well, this is why the longer videos. So let's give you a measurement so you can prepare yourself, right? And you can go buy a bit of PVC pipe, cut it nice and flush, thick, whatever the case may be. So we've got the ruler. Right, we're going to give you the information. Right, so the inside measurement. Right, if I stuff this up, then I'm in trouble, aren't I? Right, it's about 97 mil at the very outside. So 97 mil on the outside. So would you get away with a bit of 90 mil plumber's pipe? Oh, maybe. It might do it. Maybe I should try that. Do I have to go and get a bit of 90 mil now and slice a bit off? It'd probably work, but let's do it a different way for this video. What I want to do for this video, I'm going to risk wasting a seal. What I'm going to do, I'm going to smack it out, and then we're going to tap it in just by gently tapping on the metal part here, because it's metal. And once you see it go flush, see that one sits, guys? I'll go get the new seal. We'll get this one out, and I'll show you installing it DIY style. All right, now we've got it sitting so that we've got a bit of, we can give that a tap. It's just, that's against the drive shaft a little bit, but it's not on the seal, it's above it, and we're not hitting anything hard. What you can do, get a bit of rag, right? Lift it up, right? DIYs at home, just sit it like that to give it a bit of extra protection, right? I don't believe this is going to be hard to get out. You could do it with your small hammer. What we're going to do, we're using a 3/8 drive extension like that, and see this rubber here behind that, if my calculations are correct, it's steel behind there and it's going to come out pretty easy. But it is a slippery sucker because of the grease, right? So let's just give it a try. Bit harder than I thought. Yeah, okay. So it'll come out, but let's get the big flat blade. Let's get serious, right? Around here, bang, right, on the outside edge, and a just nice little, so not that hard. In my opinion, if you're changing your bearings and you're not changing this seal, crazy, mate. Let me have a look at it. Let me have a look. I'm going to give it a wipe. I'm going to give you a report on it. Where's that rag I was using? Oh, that's right, the dirty rag. That's the one that's sitting behind here now. I'll just grab that back out again. Thank you. All right. Just want to have a quick look at it. It won't take too long. This is for the people that want the info. All right, we've got the shorter version on how to do this. You know, we've talked about it and told you, yeah, that's how to do it. And for the people that want to see how to do it, I'm just having a look in the light here. Yeah, I don't know. Don't know if it's any good or not. I'm comparing the two. Compare the pair, you know. I've got the pair here. Compare the pair. Compare the pair. You know. Compare. There you go. Oh no, you're not going to see much. Let me get in the light. The old seal's very tired. Okay, it's very tired. I mean, if you compare, you can try and see for yourself. But see here, it's nice and and here it's like it's like an old worn out. It's just really. Look, yeah, I'll hold it still. Can you see the quality difference with age? Anyway, it wasn't the problem. You know, copy, it wasn't the problem this time, but it could be the problem next time, right? So let's give that a good clean up, because that's where that new seal's got to slip in. All right, when I say good clean up, you know, whatever, you know. So in behind where that seal, there's, you know, it's kind of a bit, let's see if we can get around. Let's see if you can see. You know, it's really hard when you're on your own trying to maneuver around and make videos. It's very time consuming. This job, you know, how quick it would have been. So I know a lot of people do appreciate that, and I'm here to help. But mate, for the people that are complaining, going, oh, you know, whatever, yeah, it's really difficult to do this, you know, try and get the job done, and, you know, get a video for everyone while you're at it. You know, so you can't see what I'm doing now. I'm just wiping it clean. Look, the dirt just keeps coming off, right? I'm gonna keep wiping it till the dirt stops coming off. You could spray some CRC, you could get some wet dry, whatever you like. But this is what I'm gonna do. I'm pretty happy with how that is at the moment. Okay, and I haven't really cleaned out this side to my 100% specification. But what I'm gonna do here to help it seal, as we talked about the grease earlier and in other videos, I'm gonna put a bit of grease on the outside here. It's gonna help it slip in, and it's going to close up any gaps in there that may be from, you know, unless we're replacing everything with new, we're not going to go and replace the steering knuckle as well. So just going to grab a bit of grease. And then we're going to get messy. And that's why I can't touch, you know, the camera. It all gets messy, you know until we've got a full-time cameraman. I think that's me, isn't it? Putting a bit of grease on the outside, and then we're going to risk it for the biscuit. Alright. Okay, the grease is on. Alright. The grease is on, like I said. Now we're going to do different without any tools. For you guys at home, we want a soft hammer, right? We've got a hard, soft rubber mallet like that. It's been around, hasn't it? Anyway, we've got that. That's what we're going to use. Very difficult with the bloody camera in the way, I tell you. Anyway, we're going to sit that in position. Oh, what was I thinking? That's not where I need it. Hello, dirt. We could cut that, but no, we don't. We just put it how it is. I put the grease in the wrong spot, guys. It's the next step level down that we want the grease. So just quickly wiping that off. And now we'll put the grease in the right spot. There it is. Only for the video, mate. You don't do any of these things when you're just doing it. When you start talking to people and showing people how it's done, it's where it all goes bananas. Anyway. Take two. There it is, right? There's the grease on the inner step there, not the outer. Don't worry, we'll wipe that up after. I'm not too worried about it. It'll all wash off afterwards. It's all just good rust prevention and that anyway. So I'm going to bring that round. I know it'll be hard for you to see exactly what I'm doing, but I'm just sitting that in position, right? It's sitting there now, right? I don't want to drop it. So I'm just going to bring in the gentle tapparatus. And this is a bit of R&D for you live, whether this works or not. And it will work. It has to work, because for you guys, you know. Thanks, mate. All right, so that was the dinner call. So dinner's done. Now, trying to work out, without using any special tools or equipment that you may not have, I'd like to, I have not put it in like this before, but I reckon that it's gonna, see, I'm just gonna use the hands actually to get it started and just go, I reckon it's just about gonna press in with your hand kind of thing. So easy, it's not funny, I reckon. I've actually pulled it and the bottom part's gone in more than the top. That's how, you know what I mean? They're not hard to get in. That was just with my hand. So if you get it nice and square, let's try this. I'm trying it out for you, trying to show you what might happen. No. So one side's going in more than the other. So this is going to be a problem. Look, even with tools and that, when you go to put in, this happens. So I'm actually going to let that go. So go and grab that soft mallet. Grab a rag, put it around the left hand here, hold the seal. It's in just a little bit more, well, at that side, well I thought it was, at that side than this side. All right, so I'm just getting it started at, well that didn't work out, but they're quite a strong seal is what I'm trying to point out. That, so doing this, I don't believe is going to hurt it, but it's not working anyway, right? Right, so got it held right about there at that side. So then I'm not going to tell you can do it if I wouldn't do it on my own car, if you know what I mean. It's a matter of working your way around a little bit. So let's look, it's most of the way in. I want to watch out for that sensor. So what we'll do, we'll just pop that, see if it sits in the hole again, because at the moment in the hole, it's not a bad place for it to be. And just keep, oh, there's no way I've bent that seal. You can hear the sound difference. Right. It's definitely all the way in, but I like to just go around. Don't hit that. If you need to, if you can't trust yourself, just take the whole ABS sensor right off out the way. Right, but as you can see, that's without a tool, that's perfectly installed without a tool. Even though I gave you the rough measurement, you don't need to run off and cut up a bit of pipe or anything like that. Right, just give this a wipe on the outside, because we don't need anything excessive on the outside, any grease, it's just going to attract dirt and whatever. Right, I've been a bit of a grub with this one. Kind of looks that way, so you know. Right, so let's give that a bit of a polish up along the outside. The inside's clean still. Right, we've got all the nice clean grease the way it's meant to be. Right. And if you want, you can just wipe inside that piece of steel, because that's where this seal down here, right, that seal there sits in there. So it's like a double seal. So you've got this metal guard here to stop dirt getting through. Then that keeps this rubber clean, which is pressing against that steel. And then you've got this rubber, which is wrapped around this area here on the drive shaft. So it's like a, I'll call it a double seal, but it's like a double seal at least, right? So I know this is getting a bit long, and you know, I'm kind of going, God, you know, I don't like it long, you know, what do you do? Anyway, preparation here, just having a feel, making sure I'm happy and spreading some of that grease a little bit. And it's time to give that drive shaft here a little bit of a clean up. So I'm going to grab the greasy rag. Right, I've got a greasy one here. It's clean, but it's greasy. Right, so we just want to grab this out the way. It'd be good to see if you got an assistant, it's really good. Right, we're trying to. Well, we just want to give this a bit of a. I'm going to sort of like give it a wipe clean, make sure that, because look, if you get, this is the problem, guys, you might think this is a dirty environment. Well, that's good if you think that, because you need to get on and do your own vehicles, because a lot of places, dare I say most places, will be doing it a lot dirtier and dustier than this. So I like it clean like that, if you know what I mean. We want to give it a good, clean that seal like that. All right. So we're going to clean it up, lube it. So we've got it all cleaned up to what we're happy with, and a very light amount of grease just to keep everything lubed, but not too much. Now what we want to do, we've got the sway bar. Just so you know, you can take the sway bar right off, or this little trick that I do sometimes when I'm cutting corners. I'm trying to help you out here. I haven't taken the sway bar right off. I've got the thread of the end of the sway bar. You can't see it. It's hooked in the coil spring. As long as you don't bump it, that's enough. There's enough resistance there to hold it in place, right? And what we want to do is just angle this up. As I said, we want to get the angle right so that when it goes in cleanly, right, without touching the seal, which is what we just did. We got it in, right. There's different ways to do things. You can put the bearing on first. You can actually put the bearing on first and then bring the drive shaft back in, but that is not how we did it this time. Now I want to get that sway bar back out of there. There it is, right. Then, get the sway bar caught up there, then bring that all down. Sway bar should come across a little bit. Pull the control arm down a little bit. Gonna make things look hard again, right. Come on, sway bar up. What's going on there? Trying to make things look hard now. Okay, anyway, that's in position. Yeah, don't pull the drive shaft too hard, whatever you do. It's not likely going to happen, but I think all the mistakes I make are on the video. So what to do and what not to do, all included. Right. Basically, yeah, we want to get the control arm back down again. We can put those bottom bolts back in again. Get the sway bar back up here again. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Time lapse it, baby. Alright, so all I've done is basically pulled the control arm down to pop the sway bar. You can't see, it's a bit above now. To pop the end of the sway bar in, it's just sitting through and the nuts started. I sat the sensor back in, didn't have to do that then, but it was flopping around a bit of, it was a bit of OCD flopping around. I didn't like it, so that's back in. Cleaned that, and a little bit of lube on the O-ring. There's a thin amount of grease on the face around here. I've just lubed up. And we've got the brand new hub here ready to go. A little bit of grease again on this flat surface here. A little bit around the O-ring, but we're not filling anything up with grease, right? Grease can cause problems in these situations. So what you want to do then is keep that drive shaft pushed into the steering knuckle. We're gently going to feed that onto the splines. Hang on a minute. What have we forgotten? Bada bing. Yep, that's right. Geez, bloody videos, I tell you. Unbelievable. Didn't I, I've demonstrated the complete bodgy brothers, right? Of almost forgetting things, right? And I'm saying not to forget this, right? Don't forget this, don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it, don't forget it. And what did I nearly do? I wouldn't have got far, but still, right? And of course it doesn't want to sit where it's meant to sit either. It's meant to just sit there like, oh, what am I doing wrong? What's going on here? Can someone call a Prado technician? What is it, upside down, back to front? Oh, bloody idiot. No, just joking. Is that slightly bent? How could that be bent? Just work out what's going on here. Because you're going to, the reason I just leave it all there, you could have the same, what am I doing wrong? Hello, caliper goes there. That's the way it goes. It doesn't go, no, it doesn't go that way. Let's just have a joke around. No, it doesn't go that way. It goes this way. It goes that way. What on earth is going on here? It's like it's a bit distorted or something. And maybe it is. But it doesn't make sense. So that's in that hole there. What is going on here? That goes there, and that goes there. Why is that sticking out there? That is bizarre. Something ain't right here. Oh, probably, I know what the problem is. It's all right here. We'll just pull this out. Well, not like, we don't want that out. We're going to pull this whole thing out just a little bit. I think the lower ball joint was in my way. Let's just do that again. So I can even confuse myself. Look at that, how it just almost sits there now, right? Almost. It would sit there, but look, it's not going to sit. It didn't sit there when we pulled it off. It's not going to sit there now. Professionals at this. Remember, this is the Weekend Warrior D.I.Y. So what we'll do, again, just sit that there. Hold the back of the drive shaft. Don't worry about that too much. Get it on the splines. Then we'll spin it around. We'll sit it in the right position. And then be good to have an extra hand sometimes, you know what I mean? So what we'll do, we'll just get one of the bolts and pop it through the hole like that. So pop the bolts through the hole of the backing plate. It's not hard, guys, man. I'm just making it look hard. This is for the people that really want to get maximum information. Includes everything what not to do. Right, so, and that'll just literally push on. That's kind of basically all the way in. I'm going to get those bolts started now. All right, if we can do that, if that's possible. Come on, get started. I have to give it a wiggle up and down, back and forward, a bit of a twisty twist. All right. And those bolts, again, they're going to be the hardest bolts to ever get started. Why? Because it's a video. You gotta be kidding me. You know, oh, did someone give me the wrong bolts here? They don't want to get started. So the other thing you can do is put the nut on here as well. Look, I'm going to do that now. That's what I like to do. That way, you know, nothing's going to get pushed or pulled out of place behind with the drive shaft. And that, remember, that one was a bit tight. We can still turn it by hand. It was just hard, right? But it looks worse than it is, right? So we're going to just give that a quick. We don't rattle gun tight these. We're just taking it in there. Just to take it in a little bit, you know. Not going all the way, just so everything stays where we want it. And hopefully holds it up a bit square and we can fiddle around and get these bolts started because, as I said, no jokes, they're like the hardest ones to get started. Not that hard to get started, guys. Obviously, at some point, this drive shaft was hard to get out of whichever car it came out of. These threads are really easy to get started. It's just literally Saturday afternoon. It was an afternoon thought, this thing, you know. Right, not hard to do, you know, at all. I promise in a video is all the, and I think that's the way it's meant to be. It's kind of must be a warning to you that, you know, because, you know, sometimes I make things look easy, you know what I mean? And this job isn't one of them, you know, but we are trying to do things the hard way, but like putting that seal in, right? You know, we might have something there that's perfectly engineered, pop, yeah, you know, you don't want to have to get that for one job when you can just, I know that it's easy out, easy in, so you don't need, it's a strong steel seal. Don't go smacking it hard with a hammer and denting it and all that sort of thing, but you can just gently give it a tap, tap. You saw what happened. It was beautiful, right? And eventually I can even get these bolts started, right? You know, they're all started. They just take a long way to go in. And to be quite honest, it's easiest to put them in by hand. Really, we're going to get to the spanner very shortly. Right. Let's just grab the spanner now. And, you know, we might do a bit of time lapsing, but we might do a bit of, try not to do too much of that. That way we can sort of show you what's going on. Bit of hands, bit of spannering, you know, whatever, a bit of a mix, whatever you want. You know, time lapse is one thing, but you don't get to see what happened in that, do you? Once you get past that, there's probably a bit of thread on the end that got, you know, I don't know what happened, you know what I mean? All I know is it's on the car. Does the job, all of these, happy days. So that fits in its slots, right? So that should just go like that. It shouldn't move from there. There's only one way it can go, as I said at the start. Right. Like I said, that was the wrong spanner anyway, so we'll go and get the right spanner. Now, why have I got a space like that? That's what else I want to know now. Why have I got that space there like that? That shouldn't be like that either. So that'll pull in. Shouldn't have that flopping around. It should go in fairly... This whole arrangement should go in nicely, right? There shouldn't be any issues. Right, at the moment we haven't got those bolts in at the bottom yet either, so we'll get those in next. This was like kind of get this in before, you know, we don't want the drive shaft flopping around in and out of the seal, maybe risking doing damage sort of thing, if you know what I mean. We just want it all in, if you know what I mean. So what happens, you know, it all comes in eventually. The bottom one. by hand's quicker, and I can't see, and if I stick my head down there in the way, you won't see, so whatever, no big deal, all right? Anyway, they're all the way in. I'm not going to nip those up. I'm not going to put the pressure on them, and you're going to say how tight. Well, I'll show you in a minute. About that tight, you know, sort of just a bit F-tight. F-tight is F for fairly tight, right? Now, getting these two big suckers here, right, and we're going to put them in underneath where the lower ball joint bracket goes, so you might need a bit of pushing and pulling and twisting around to get those started, but shouldn't be too hard. It's just a matter of a bit of getting everything into alignment with each other, and they will start once you've got them all square and straight. Easy way to do it actually, and I'll do it. I'll go grab the socket. You sit them in the socket. Where's the socket I was using? 19mm, right? Give you a bit more of something to hold on to. Right. And that's one started. Get it in at least 2 or 3 turns, and then the bolt and the socket like that, right? And we're going to get down there and get the other one started. This one I'm going to go by, I don't know if this is going to work out. See, completely in the way, this thing. Get out of the way, would you? Right, so just get that to alignment. And like I said, when it's in the right spot, it'll get started, but you know what? Can't do it with this in the way. Alright, yeah, couldn't do it. You know, couldn't do it. I needed to get, you know, I'm right-handed. I need to get my head around here right where you are again to get that bolt in. So, got the bottom one underneath, you know, 19mm into the lower ball joint area. Nip those both up. That's the only thing you miss. Not that hard. Then we're going to make sure these are tight, right? So we're just going to, you've got to spin the hub a little bit to get the spanner on sometimes. Right. How tight? Well, how tight were they before? Look, it's not a part that's imperative that if you don't get the torque setting, if you want to know the torque setting, you're going to have to go look it up yourself. But for me, I'm kind of going, I'm sort of hanging on it a bit, you know, going about that tight. You can't, I mean, you'd have to be He-Man to bust them or damage them or anything. I'm guessing it's probably what, 100 Newton meters or something? That's my guess. Wouldn't have a clue. One thing for sure though, I'm going over all of them at least twice. And they are F-tight. In my book, that's fairly tight. Right? And the last one maybe, depending what it feels like, whether I go again. Yeah, they're tight, right? So they ain't going nowhere. This drive shaft, we're going to tighten that up on the ground. Right? We've got to get all this sway bar back in and tight too, up the top there. Show you that, right? You swap, if you wonder what I'm talking about, the sway bar. This one here. You can do it how you like. I'm just going to go F-tight. Generally, suspension components, F-tight is the answer. Okay? So that's F-tight. We've got to get the sway bar bracket back on, so we'll get that started. While we're in the area of sway bars, let's get that bracket there. Alright, basically you leave one bolt in because see, one side of the clamp's got the hook on it. Oh, I was going to say we'll sit that there for a minute, but watch. No, we won't. Yeah, we'll go and get the tool. The video did it again. I'm going to blame the video every time, right? So you have your bolt and socket in your hand ready to go when you don't have to think about what your video's doing and where your camera's at in your way. And you always get everything started like that before you ever put a gun on it. And you can, like I keep saying, you can do it however you like, but I'm not going to do these up anyway because I'm going to do the other side, but I'm going to just nip them a little bit. But normally it'd be, yep, like that. But but we're going to leave them a little bit loose because we want the sway over to be able to move around a little bit at the other side to do the other side, right? So there's another little tip for those that hung around. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that, but I loosened off the swayer at the other side to take care of this side as well, right? So, what are we doing? Getting you out of the way is what we need to do. Get this camera out of the picture. What are you doing? What are you doing? Oh, okay. What do we got to go? You can tell me. Have we wrecked this ABS sensor? Hopefully not. Give it a spin. Yeah, sounds normal. You just got the rotor on the other side. You can feel the uni joint. Remember we talked about checking that. Just give it a, it shouldn't be tight or anything, if you know what I mean. Right, so we're not going to put these caps or anything on, and because we're just going to nip these up to 235. So the way, if you got an assistant, you can get an assistant to put your foot on, their foot on the brake and all that, but I haven't got an assistant at the moment. Hello, any assistants, anyone here? I just got a delivery. What's this? I just got a letter delivered from the kids. They want to go to a carnival or something, so I think I have to pull the pin, and we're going to call this, you know, it's going to be a part 1 and a part 2, right? So, wasn't this long enough? Yeah, I know. Anyway, that's the way video's going, you know. Hope you're not in a hurry, because I'm not in a hurry, right? There's your new bearing. Now, what do we got to do? Basically, what we've got to do is we've got to put the rotor on. Okay, so look, you know, we can do that. We can do that in this case, because if you had an assistant, well, there's a couple of different ways to do it, right? But bang, by putting the rotor on, and what you do with that there is, to get it to stay there, you just put a nut on temporarily. Right, and then that holds that all nice and square for you while you put your caliper on and all that, right? So it's all got to happen. What I do, I put the rotor on, I put the caliper on, I put the wheel on temporarily, I drop it on the ground just lightly, just enough to create the resistance so I can click this to 235 Newton meters if that's what it is. And obviously then we bring it back up, wheel off, split pin on, cap on nicely. So that's pretty well covers, that gives you really a lot of information, all you need. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to call it a day at that. And what we'll do is we'll have another video doing the other side, or maybe even the rest of this side and the other side. That's what we'll do. We'll do the rest of this side and the other side. So keep your eye out for both of those. This is a cut. I hope you enjoyed all the entertainment and all the complications I had working in Crocs with a camera in the way, all the excuses now, you know, trying to get the seal in for you, you know, so that, you know, I'm thinking, I'm being thoughtful that, you know, you may not have a lot of special tools, just like I don't really, but anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you got something out of it. Please remember, give us a thumbs up if you like that and you got something out of it. And yeah, if you haven't already, please subscribe, turn the bell on. We've got more awesome Prado, all sorts of vehicles, especially Prado information coming your way. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.